practice, we'll go over some of the problems from the notes that was given out after the test. You'll never have to write the name. You just need to know a name that is a molecular name for a compound and an ionic. So right now the focus is only on molecular. Again, when molecular is said, it means covalent, the sharing of electrons, non-metals in a chemical bond. So for number one, just to give you the breakdown of what you will always see prefixes in a molecular bond. So the biggest identification is to focus on is the second element. The second element will always get a prefix. And no matter what, I will always see a prefix for the second one. So I'm highlighting each one of those. The first one may not get a prefix, so therefore if you only look at the first one, it could be confusing later when we get into ionic formulas that it looks ionic and therefore the formula is written incorrectly. So if I was going to identify a molecular bond, it would be look at the second name or the second element in the name, and that will always tell you if it's molecular. It's because there's a bond. The first one may or may not get a prefix. It always depends on if that element has multiple atoms or just one. If the first one only has one, then it will get the name written like in number 2, silicon. It is written as it is written on the periodic table. There is not a prefix, there is not a suffix. It is the full name like silicon. Going up to number 1, since there's 2 silicons in this formula, we only add the prefix, but silicon is still written out as silicon. So that's sometimes, some of these names will look differently. It depends on where they're at and how many atoms are in that formula. On the second one, you will see things be a lot different because we always have a prefix, we always have a root word, and then that name always ends in IDE. Right now it's not a big deal, but when we deal with ionic, so it's really important that we look at the second element, identify that it has a prefix, and I know that I can write the formula the way molecular formulas are written. So a lot of times, again, kids will look for these elements on the periodic table and not knowing that they're not going to find them because in the second element, we only write down the root word. And with time and practice, you will see and memorize these root words, and you know which elements are which. So some of the formula writings, this is what the answers would be. Number 1, disilicon. Di means 2. So I write the chemical symbol for silicon, which is Si. I need 2, so I put a subscript of 2. Oxide is oxygen, but there's dioxide, so that would be 2. So Si2O2 is the correct formula. Second one, silicon, since it is just written as the name, it is the symbol. Symbol is always understood as 1. Dioxide, meaning 2 oxygens. Number 3, nitrogen. When it just has the name, there's 1. Second one always gets a prefix, even if there's 1. So mono means 1, so the chemical formula is NO. Next one, dinitrogen, has 2. Tetroxide, tetra is 4, so it's N2O4. Bromine monochloride, Br, Cl, 1 of each. Disulfur dichloride, S2Cl2. Sulfur dichloride is SCl2. And then dicarbon dioxide, 2 carbons, 2 oxygens. The rest of the questions or the answers are in the classroom in the PDF. I hope that helps.